pleased to join with you, distinguished guests, membres du corps diplomatique, Madame la conseillère municipale Deros, a president of the Ukrainian World Congress, Eugene Chely, with whom I've traveled in Ukraine, and of course, on behalf of the Government of Canada, it is a great honor for me to welcome you, Myroslava, to Canada. Back to Canada? Back to Canada. Let us consider Canada your second home. You are always welcome to come. Thank you so much. I know that my colleague, the president of the Canada-Ukraine Parliamentary Friendship Group, Member of Parliament Ted Opitz, was here earlier this evening, but I would like to also express officially on behalf of the Government of Canada our greetings at this celebration of the anniversary of Ukraine's independence. We're all proud of the fact that Canada was the first Western country to recognize Ukraine's independence in 1991. We were the second country in the world after Poland, and they just beat us because of the time change. But we love the Poles anyway. And we did that because, Myroslava, Canada and Canadians love Ukraine and Ukrainians. Let there be no doubt. We love Ukrainians because they helped to build our country from coast to coast. They're the folks that took the toughest job in settling Canada, the northern prairies. We gave them the toughest soil, but they still broke it. They cleared the trees. They did it where there was nothing, no civilization, no towns, no supplies, but they came from the steppes of Ukraine with tenacity, with an amazing work ethic, with fidelity, with big families. And they cleared virgin soil, and they helped to settle the newest part of the New World. And so through that, the Ukrainians became a part of the Canadian myth, the Canadian identity. The Ukrainians, I always say, were in an important way the inventors, the founders of the whole idea of multiculturalism. It was a proud son, un fils fier de l'Ukraine qui s'appelait Paul Yusik, qui était nommé sénateur par John Diefenbaker dans les années 50, qui a, pour la première fois, a donné expression au mot multiculturalism au Parlement du Canada. In 1965, they were talking about biculturalism, and Senator Yusik from Manitoba said, hang on a second here, what about the rest of us that aren't British or French? What about the Ukrainians and the rest of us? He said, we need to include all of us. Yes, we need to be united in our diversity, respect the original historic founding nations, but the power, the strength, the respect that the Ukrainian pioneers developed in this country is what led to Paul Yusik's success in creating the official policy of multiculturalism. And that is why Canada was the first Western country to acknowledge Ukraine's independence. And that is why Canada today is the strongest country in the world in standing by Ukraine's sovereign independence. As you remind us just through your presence, Myroslava, there are many martyrs who have made that independence possible. And even though Ukraine has not always been blessed with strong leadership, Ukraine has always been blessed with daughters and sons willing to give their lives for the independence of Ukraine. Ukraine is blessed by a great diaspora, including that in Canada, which deliberately maintained the vitality of Ukrainian language and culture when that was not always possible during the dark days of the Soviet era. 75 years ago, yesterday, we marked the infamous anniversary of the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which pushed much of Eastern and Central Europe into the conflagration of violence and evil of the twin totalitarianisms of Nazism and fascism. Ukraine, in the heart of Europe's bloodlands, lived that more than any other place, through the Holodomor, through the Nazi massacres, and those to follow under the Soviet communist period. And today, this anniversary of independence is a day to acknowledge all of those martyrs, the martyrs of the past 23 years, and indeed of the Heavenly 100. So let me close by quoting the Right Honorable Prime Minister in his statement for today. 23 years ago, on August 24th, 1991, the Ukrainian Parliament declared the country's independence from the Soviet Union. On December 1st, 1991, Ukraine held a referendum that saw over 90% of voters supporting the decision for independence. The very next day, Canada became the first Western country to recognize Ukraine's independence as a sovereign state. Canada has remained steadfast in its support for the people of Ukraine, providing assistance to promote development, trade, and good governance. Our close relations are significantly enhanced by the over 1.2 million Canadians of Ukrainian descent, as their contributions to our collective success are immeasurable. Since triumphing over the oppression of communism to achieve independence, Ukraine has taken great strides to establish itself as a free, democratic, and sovereign country. In recent months, the Putin regime's expansionist agenda has greatly endangered the people of Ukraine. President Putin's threat to their territorial sovereignty constitutes not only a real menace to Ukraine, it also further demonstrates the Russian Federation's willingness to destabilize Eastern Europe and undermine the sovereignty of its neighbors. The people of Ukraine have held firm against this tyranny, showing their characteristic courage and resolve. Canada has been standing shoulder to shoulder with the Ukrainian people. Since the onset of this crisis, we have imposed, along with our allies, a broad range of political and economic sanctions against those responsible for the crisis, pledging support to help Ukraine stabilize its economy and promote economic and social development, and providing non-lethal security assistance and training for members of the Ukrainian military. On this special anniversary, Canada calls yet again on Russia's leader to cease all provocative military activity. Canada will continue to stand by Ukraine in this time of need and remains committed to helping its people and government build a democratic, independent, and prosperous country. We stand prepared to continue to apply further and political economic pressure along with our allies if President Putin's military aggression and provocative actions continue. On behalf of all Canadians, I extend our best wishes to everyone celebrating Ukraine's 23rd anniversary of independence. Signed, the Right Honourable Stephen Harper. Vive le Canada, Slava Ukraina.
Сучасні отці, Minister Kenney, дорогі браті і сестри, мені дуже великий честь тут подякувати міністр Kenney. On behalf of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, I'd like to thank Minister Kenney. A simple thank you would not be sufficient to underscore the friendship and leadership that Minister Kenney has exhibited towards the Ukrainian Canadian community. In good times and in bad, he has celebrated with us on Independence Day, and he has fought to recognize the very painful parts of our history. It is thanks to this gentleman that Canada recognized the internment of Ukrainian Canadians in concentration camps during the First World War. It is thanks to this gentleman that among Western countries, Canada was first in recognizing the Holodomor as an act of genocide against the Ukrainian people. And when it was time in the winter, in the dark months of the revolution, Canada's Ukrainians had no greater friend than the government of Mr. Harper, than Minister Kenney and Minister Baird when it came to condemning the actions of the Yanukovych regime and now providing assistance to Ukraine in its hour of need. Yes, we are celebrating 23 years of independence today, but we are also watching as our brave young men in Ukraine are dying on a daily basis. They are dying not in a civil war, but they are dying due to Russian aggression, Russian invasion by another name, Russia's proxy war, and Ukraine in its hour of need needs Canada to continue to help. And Canada's taken the lead, and we encourage Canada to continue to do so. Тоді я би хотів, щоб всіх вам стояли і подякували міністр Кенні і канадська держава за їх співпрацю і роботу. Дякую.
Многая літа, многая літа, многая літа, многая літа, многая літа, многая літа,
Ой, пливе кача по тисині, пливе кача по тисині. Не лай мене, мамко, нені, не лай мене, мамко, нені. Ой, залаєш мі в злу годину, залаєш мі в злу годину. Сам не знаю, де погину, сам не знаю, де погину. Ой, погину я в чужім краї, погину я в чужім краї. Хто ж мій буде брати яму? Хто ж мій буде брати яму? Ой, виберуть мій чужі люди, виберуть мій чужі люди. Чи не жаль мій, мамко, буде? Чи не жаль мій, мамко, буде? Ой, якби мені, синку, не жаль, якби мені, синку, не жаль. Ти ж на моїм серцю лежав, ти ж на моїм серцю лежав. Ой, пливе кача